Come on, bro.
Yeah, this is like the first awkwardness. What are you doing, dude?
I'm trying to mess with the microphone. All right, there you go.
What's the name of our podcast here?
It's called the.
We don't even know.
Let me look it up, bro. I always forget.
Okay. The Specifically Random Podcast, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, specifically random podcast. So we're just gonna talk about specifically random things.
So it's like
So it's very specific, bro. But very random.
And it's gonna be basically random topics on. Well, I mean, things that
are hot.
Things that are trending, I guess would be the word nowadays, but also things that we know about, because we can't just be like speaking out of random stuff. But how do I explain it?
Well, we're not experts though, so
exactly.
It's just mostly opinions, but I mean some facts.
Yeah. So what? But how do we put it? We want to make sure that
we want to put things into context.
Here's the thing. I feel like a lot of the podcasts, when I listen to podcasts, it's like people who are not like average, right? Like average people.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I want to do is like set the podcast where it's like us average people talking about just normal stuff that everybody talks about without everything like, well, like kind of like learning from it. Like we're talking, we're learning, we're seeing what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So from like you want to be as objective as possible. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. So
without the biases.
Yeah. And without the idea that like we know everything. So like, one day we can be talking about one thing and think one way, and then the next day we can be talking about something else.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's what normally happens between people.
I mean, that's part of learning and evolving.
So yes, our podcast is going to be specifically random topics.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to take it like an experiment.
Bro, I think you should say your name first.
Oh, yeah. So, my name is Jonathan Longo.
And my name is Jair Monares.
Yeah. And, well, I guess we can introduce ourselves. That would be ideal first.
Yeah.
Well, just the basic idea is, I guess I'm a teacher. That would be the key thing.
Yeah.
I'm a 7th grade teacher, and I just I teach history. I don't know everything about history, don't get me wrong, but that would be my small intro. And there's 2 things that I mainly know about. Is teaching and soccer. That would be the 2 topics that I can talk about. But other than that, I'm not too sure.
Oh, and you got to tell them you like Barca, bro.
Yeah.
You got to know that.
Well, yeah. We'll talk about those when we go to randomly topic stuff.
Okay, well.
Let me turn off the TV because that's just distracting. All right.
Yeah. All right, well, my name's Jair. You can say Jair. I've heard it all. I heard all of it, bro. Air, nair, hair. I heard gel. So it's Jair, whatever, bro. The same thing. I'm not a teacher, but I want to be a teacher. I'm an inspired teacher, you could say. Aspiring teacher.
What subject?
History. So I got my bachelor's in history. So just history in general. So not U.S. history. It's like I focus on all of it. So I got my bachelor's on that, and I'm working. I just passed the CBEST. I'm taking my CSET next month. So
you say CBEST is the first one to be a sub, right?
Yeah. So I can be a sub already.
Okay.
But I'm taking my CSET next month. So we'll see how that. And after I take my CSET, I'm working on getting my master's this summer. So after that, hopefully I can get into teaching, dude. Because I want to get into it already, man.
And what topics would you say, like I said?
What interests me the most?
Yeah, like what topics would you say, like if somebody would have a conversation with you, you can be like, okay, I can talk about these, I don't know, 2 or 3 things. Like I said, right? Like soccer and teaching would be like 2 things that I can talk about. Politics and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I'll say 2 things that I love to talk about all the time is modern history. So from like 18th, 19th century, like history, and then philosophy. The philosophy behind the history, dude. Philosophy is fucking awesome, dude. I wish I could have like gotten a bachelor's in philosophy, but philosophy, history, modern history, and then some soccer. Yeah, I mean I don't know all of it, but I mean I know a lot of the sport.
I guess to be more specific on like what kind of like I like to talk about is like the education part of everything, right?
Yeah.
Like in the sense of like and I'll talk a little bit more later when we talk about the other podcasts I have an idea of. But like the education system, not the system, but the way that people teach and the way you learn is kind of something that fascinates me. And kind of like stuff that I've been looking at lately, like politics and stuff like that, because I feel like, I don't know, like it's cool to talk about, but I feel like that's what everybody talks about.
Well, I think we kind of gotten away from that in the last month just because Trump's not in office. Like, you would wake up when Trump was in office, and the first thing you would do is like, all right, let's see what these will said. You would go on social media, and there was always something to talk about. So it would always come back to politics. But now it's like politics kind of on the side. Like, because nobody talks about Biden. Right. So, I mean, politics.
I mean, they do. If you know how they call it, like, what do they call it? Like conservative Twitter or whatever.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like where like all the conservative people talk about them. But I don't know. It's interesting, right? Like we'll talk about politics in another episode. I don't want to get into that because then.
No, but they're going to come back all the time, bro.
It is going to come back all the time.
That's
but
what
I
want
to talk about what kind of I want to focus on in today's podcast. Well, today's episode, I guess you want to call it, is more like the general idea of what we want to talk about.
Okay.
And then maybe you can throw a topic.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there.
Yeah, because I got a topic in the top of my head, dude.
So, like we were saying, like we're gonna talk about random stuff, but stuff that, like, just common people are talking about. Yeah. I think that's like gonna be our thing. Like, what common people are talking about, or what the average person is talking about. And if it happens to be politics one day, then whatever, it happens to be politics. If it happens to be about another podcast, then like we can be like talking about what happened on Joe Rogan's podcast, or whatever it is. But like, just like general conversations. And the experiment that I wanted to talk about is like, the idea is that how they always say like, well, if you just work hard enough, you're gonna eventually it's gonna pop off or whatever. Like that's the goal. Is I want it to be like, we're going to put episodes out there and really see. Like, we're going to try to improve. We're going to try to improve our language. We're going to try to improve, add a camera in here. You know, like, legitimately try to improve. But I want to see if that is true. Like, if you work hard enough, if we put 100 episodes out there, are we going to really get...
Are we going to get some listeners?
Like, I'm not talking about millions of views, but maybe 10,000 subscribers. Yeah. Something like that, right? Like, we're not aiming to, like, be the next Joe Rogan's or whatever, right? Yeah. But more of, like, okay, well, is this really true? Like, when I listen to Gary Vee go, oh, just put stuff out there, or, all the YouTubers are like, just start doing it.
Rogan himself says that. Just put stuff out there, and then people will come.
So this is it. This is us putting us out there and see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
That's my experience.
Yeah.
So that's the goal there.
And then to add on to that, to like what you were saying about what we want to talk about, I think what I would also want to do in the podcast is just whatever we talk about, provide context for it. Because I feel like just in general, do social media, the news, and even other podcasts, people talk about things with no context.
Right.
So, I mean, we've always talked about this. Like, context is key to everything, dude.
Right.
To everything. So, I mean, like I said, we want to be objective as possible. But in order to do that, we have to offer context, Right. We can just say, like, oh, yeah, this dude did that, but we're not going to say why he did that while he was doing all that. You know what I mean? So,
right. And just to make the point is, like, let's say that we get more listeners. Like, what we want to do is just talk about what we enjoy to talk about, and whatever happens next.
Yeah.
But just remember, like, we're trying to learn. We're trying to, improve and all that stuff.
Well, yeah.
So that's kind of like the introduction of the podcast. I don't think the podcast is going to be super long all the time. Maybe some days we get, an hour. Maybe some days we get 30 minutes, whatever happens. But like we said, we're going to try to add cameras, just more than
once we get some listeners and viewers, maybe get some questions going.
Exactly. Stuff like that.
See what they want to hear, what they want to talk about.
Add people, like maybe have conversations.
Yeah, bring in some, people that are knowledgeable in other fields.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of friends that are knowledgeable in field. They're not experts, but they're pretty knowledgeable.
Yeah, and just like the common people.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
What they're, like just a regular podcast and what's going on around the neighborhood or what's going around.
Yeah.
Just like, average people that don't have conversations with 10,000 people.
Yeah, exactly.
1 million people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or that don't have any expertise on a lot of things, but have like something very specific they want to talk about.
Yeah. Or even people that it'll be interesting to just bring in somebody like who from your point of view, you think it's dumb or not knowledgeable, and just to see what his perspective on things is,
Right.
you know, it'll be like, well, why do you think that? You know what I
Right.
mean? So that'll be cool too.
Yeah.
And yeah, all right. So we can talk with the. We can start with our very specific random topic, and that's
Okay,
gonna
well.
be. You'll provide the topics, and I'll. And
We'll
have a
just
conversation.
conversate
Yeah.
about them. All right. The first topic I wanted to throw out there for the first podcast, it's Pepe Le Pew, bro.
So
So you
Gi-
heard
give
what
some-
happened,
gi-
right?
gi-
That he
yeah.
got canceled by the cancel culture, but he promotes sexual harassment and not violence. It's sexual harassment and I forgot the other word, dude. The rape culture. So
Okay.
he promotes that, so to speak. That's what they're saying. So that's why they decided, okay, we have to cancel Pepe Le Pew. So what do you think about that? That's what I want to know, because I got a lot to say,
Well,
but I want you.
do
I
you
want to
wanna,
know what you
like,
think.
Do you want to talk specifically about like cancel culture, or do you want to talk specifically about that situation? Is that what your
Well,
question?
I want to know
Yeah.
what you think about that, just in general.
Well, first of all, I can't really answer that because I never watched Pepe Le Pew. Or
Oh,
whatever,
come
dude.
on, bro.
So
I grew up in Mexico and I watched Pepe Le Pew, bro.
I know, I never watched it. But when it comes to like, I don't know, if the specific idea that they have is that it does promote that stuff, like it is doing that stuff, then those things are something that I can say, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have people watching that. Like that specific topic of like sexual harassment and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and the rape culture. Like I don't necessarily have an issue with like people who actually do that or show that being canceled, because that's like a very like negative thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a horrible thing, right? Like
Well,
I don't see anything like that. I think when it comes to like speech, like the stuff that's being canceled a lot is like people saying something.
Yeah, their own opinion.
I think, yeah, like if it's not directly racist, if it's not directly like anything bad, I do see it like a bad thing.
Right.
But like there's things like that I would say like, yeah, people should get canceled for those things, like I don't know, like rape, like
Yeah.
harassment and things like that. I just don't personally know about the
Pepe Le Pew.
about the cartoon itself.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
does it really show that? I have no idea.
From what I remember, I haven't watched it lately. I mean, I used to watch it when I was little, and I mean, to me, when I would watch it, I would never think about going and hugging a girl or just getting close to her. Just nothing got to do with girls. It was just funny to me, dude. You know,
Right.
as a kid, because cartoons are supposed to be for kids, technically, right?
Right.
So what he would do, or what he does, is he tries to get at this other girl. It's a skunk, obviously.
Right.
So he tries to get at her, and he just keeps trying and trying and trying, like kind of like bothering at a point,
Right.
But it's funny because it's a cartoon, and
Right.
it's two skunks. It's not even two persons,
Right.
So, okay,
Can so the idea of like him doing stuff to the other skunk,
right?
do you think, not to say that you didn't,
Yeah.
right? But do you think that could have affected another kid who watched it and said, "Oh, that's how you're supposed to treat the girl"? Because in general, like I know it's two skunks, right? But it's like this is how you're supposed to like.
They're giving them like a human form.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that's the question? Like, do you think that somebody may have watched this and said, "Oh, well, yeah, maybe that's how you're supposed to treat women"? That's where it gets a little tricky.
I mean, I think maybe. I mean, you're gonna have that one kid or two kids maybe that did that, but that goes into my next point. You
Yeah.
get into this slippery slope where it's like, okay, we're gonna cancel Pepe Le Pew, fine, dude. You gotta cancel almost everybody. What about what's that dude, Johnny Bravo? Didn't he do the same? Wasn't he the same? Always trying to hit on girls.
Bro, I never.
Bro, you didn't watch cartoons?
I don't watch cartoons.
Come on, bro.
I don't know.
Okay, with Johnny Bravo, he was like this big dude, like
Yeah. I remember
strong
what he looks
dude
like.
with,
His
big-
blonde hair.
Yeah, like that. And he was always trying to hit on girls. I mean, almost the same thing as Pepe Le Pew. So maybe we have to cancel him too. Or what about I seen that some people calling for the cancellation of Miss Piggy, or Miss
Okay.
Peggy from the Muppets too,
Yeah.
because she promoted violence towards Kermit the Frog because he would beat him up. So I was like, okay, we gotta
But
cancel her too.
how much is this like people doing like satire? When somebody says cancel this, like they just start saying, well, let's cancel this, cancel this, cancel this.
That's my question too. Like who gets it started or who does it? You know,
who like makes the decision?
Exactly. Who wakes up and say, okay, I want to cancel him today, and then everybody keeps going, and then it becomes this big thing, and then they actually get him canceled. Like who gets this going?
My question before that, I have no idea who gets that going, dude. Because you're right. Like who on both sides? Because now both sides are trying to cancel everybody, right? Like so and so said something, now let's cancel. And so and so said, like they're both like now canceling each other out or trying to, right? So who decides that? I don't know. I think it's just like the you know, like the majority of people, I guess you would say. I don't know, like the majority of people that how do I explain it? Like the majority of people that get together and say, well, yeah, this makes sense, and then it kind of like rolls the ball, and then people start going, yeah. I think that's probably what happens. My question is like, why not just set a standard?
Yeah.
Like, here's where we're gonna get to, but that's hard because some people's standards are gonna be different, and that's kind of like the issue. Is like, my question to this cancel culture, and I've talked to it with, you know, some of my colleagues and stuff like that, is what's the purpose?
Right.
Like, what are you trying to get out of not showing Pepe Le Pew, for example, or not reading specific books, you know, that are not allowed anymore or whatever it is. Like, what are you trying to get out of that?
Yeah.
Like, if the idea is to, like, eliminate, you know, sexual harassment by not showing kids this, is that really the solution? That's kind of my question. Or is the idea, like, to eliminate, you know, racism, like, and let's eliminate these books, for example, or let's eliminate this one person who said this one thing about this one time that happened a long time ago, whatever, right? Yeah. Like, if you never see that again, does that eliminate what you are trying to eliminate, right? Like, like in your idea, Pepe Le Pew, right? You're watching it. You don't get the idea of, like, okay, well, I'm going to go and do that. Yeah. But there might be people who do. Right. That's what we need to study. Like, but why are they deciding, and why are you not deciding? Right. I listen. So another person that was trying to get canceled this week, because for now everyone is Eminem, right? They try to cancel him, whatever. To cancel Eminem. Dude, like, I'll tell you this story since we're talking now. My first CD that my dad bought me was an Eminem CD. I was in middle school, bro. Okay, it was the Marshall Mathers LP. Yeah. Okay. And it was when you couldn't get it without cuss words, so we had to get it like bootlegged, right? And he bought it for me with the cuss words and everything. I must have been like 10, 11, whatever. Yeah. And, you know, that's the one with like Kim where he's killing his wife and stuff like that. Yeah. But never, like, I listened to it and never in my mind was I like, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to, you know, like beat somebody up. Or even like, you know, like I was never a violent person or anything like that. And dude, all my life, I all listened to is Eminem. Like I would sit down, like that's how I learned how to read. Yeah. I would read his lyrics on his little book, dude. Yeah. And I would just like, boom. But never in my mind. But does that mean that it doesn't happen to somebody else? Yeah. You know what I mean? But is it really just that one thing, or is it a factor of a lot of things? Right.
But that's what I mean, though. These people think that they're promoting consciousness and, you know, they're saving the world by doing this. It's like, dude, you're doing it from an iPhone that those components in the iPhone were mined by slave kids. Is like, so do you want to really be conscious all the way, or just for certain things?
Where do we stop?
Exactly. Where do we start and where do we stop? Yeah. That's what I mean. It's a slippery slope, because once you start, we're going to have to cancel everything. I seen people trying to cancel Bad Bunny after that. They're like, okay, well, we're going to have to cancel Bad Bunny because his lyrics. Okay, well, we're going to have to cancel everybody then. Right. You know, because we're going to have to cancel video games too, because maybe one kid's going to wake up like, oh, I want to go shoot somebody for real. Like, you know. Right. Like his Black Ops and San Andreas.
Right.
All those games. Yeah, GTA. All those games, you're gonna have to cancel them too, because there's always gonna be that one little group of people in the whole world who are gonna want to go and do what they're watching, what they're hearing. I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, there's so much more that goes into every topic that by doing one thing is not necessarily gonna help. And I feel like that's what happens in general, right? Right. Like if you do this one thing, it's like a they see it as a positive step forward, Yeah.
But is it really a positive step forward?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of like where it gets a little bit tricky because it's like, where do we end? Where do we start? Where I call it, and you know, I talked to my colleague and I call it the line. Like, where is that line?
Yeah.
Like, where do we draw that line? You know? And it's like, and the funny part is that a lot of like comedians talk about this, and they do a great job. You know, like when I listen to Schultz, I listen to Bill Burr, for example, and it's like, who goes like he's talking about like a domestic violence joke or whatever, and you know, he's talking about like these billboards as you're driving by, and it's like, don't get involved in domestic violence or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, who's driving in the car and is like about to go beat up his wife, and then sees the billboard and goes, oh yeah, I'm not gonna beat up my wife. You know what I mean? He's like thinking like it has to be something deeper.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You know, and I feel like a lot of times maybe there's no solution.
Right.
And we just say, well, we're gonna do this.
But the other issue too, dude, is that it kind of, okay, you know, they want to bring awareness to this and stuff, but it takes away from the actual problems, dude. Do you think somebody who's actually unfortunately been raped or harassed, do you think they give a fuck about Pepe Le Pew, bro, being canceled? Come on, bro, no. Well, you know what I mean?
See, but that just depends, right? Because in that situation, you know, did that person at some point have a connection with Pepe Le Pew and flash back to that idea of like, but I'm not saying that's, but it can be like a
right.
like a very generic.
Saying, in that case, let's start studying it. Why did that person did that to you?
Right.
And if that person says, because I watched Pepe Le Pew and I got into that, then okay, by all means, let's cancel Pepe Le Pew.
Right.
You get me?
Right.
But I mean, I don't know of anybody of any cases that have done what they've done because they watch a cartoon or they played a game or whatever. Maybe there is cases out there. I just haven't heard of them.
Right, like we have to study that.
Right, exactly.
But then is that like, okay, so is the problem that video game itself? Like, or that video itself? Right. And that's kind of like my point. It's like, if we study and say, okay, well, this person, you know, did this because they played this video game, right? So how come it doesn't happen to the millions other who play that video game?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly. And that's kind of my point. It's like, Coleman Hughes actually talks about this, is that there's some solutions, there's some situations where we're not actually trying to eliminate the situation. We're trying to minimize the time it happens.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like sometimes people think that it's going to go away forever. And in reality, we just have to minimize the times it happens. Yeah. Like we have to get to a point where it's the minimal amount of times that it happens.
Exactly.
Do we have the solutions? I don't think so. Do I think like eliminating some shows or eliminating some, you know, people who say horrible things or whatever is a horrible thing? Not necessarily, because I think that sometimes that's like, hey, bro, you shouldn't have been saying that.
Yeah.
And this is the consequence of you saying this horrible thing.
Exactly.
You know? But who decides what is horrible and what is not?
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
like we can literally make this first podcast. It comes out the next day, and something that I just said 5 minutes ago, someone says that it's horrible, you know, and it's like, well, I haven't really.
And that's the danger of the whole Pepe Le Pew thing, that we're starting to get. There's no standard. There's no, like you said, there's no line. There's no standard for it. It's just whatever somebody wants to call out, and then a million other people agree. Okay, that's bad already. And then where do we start? When do we stop?
Where do we stop then?
It's like Trump getting canceled. At first, I thought it was funny, you know. Yeah, this dude got canceled. You know, finally they shut down his social media pages or whatever. Right. But then I thought about it, and I was like, it's actually kind of dangerous. Dude, you're canceling the president of one of the most powerful countries in the U.S. Like, and you're pretty much canceling them out of not only Twitter, Facebook, everything else. Exactly.
YouTube, everything was canceled.
Exactly. So you're pretty much shutting them down.
Are you though?
I mean,
are you though? Because he could have went on the TV and just talk. He could have literally been on the news and just be like, I'm just going to talk random stuff for the next 3 hours.
Right, yeah. But, I mean, now we know that a lot of people don't really watch the TV or the news, or if he has a press conference, they don't watch it. All they do is just go on Twitter, go on Facebook, and they see what he's doing, and then that's how they think they're interacting with him. You know, it's not like back then where like the only.
But is that the problem though? Is the cancel culture the problem, in the sense of canceling the president, or is the problem that people think information is these 100 and whatever many characters you have on Twitter, and now it's like that's what we're gonna learn.
I think the problem with the cancel culture is that instead of having a conversation like we're having debate, they just want to shut the door. They don't want to hear anything. They just want to say, no, I don't want it. Cancel it. That's it. They don't want to sit down and have that conversation, because then.
But how do you have a conversation with somebody who? I'm not sorry. I'm gonna say this. I'm not saying that Trump. I'm not. This is a different question based off of what we're talking about. How do you have a conversation with somebody who's blatantly racist? Who is? And I'm not saying this is this is a basic question, but anything. Somebody who thinks, I don't know, murdering people is good.
Right.
Like, how do you have a conversation with that?
Well, it's like that documentary that you showed me on Hulu with that one dude from England.
Oh, yeah.
The black dude.
Fear thy neighbor. No, hate thy neighbor.
Yeah, hate thy neighbor. It's like that dude.
Jamal says that.
Yeah, he went and had conversations with these dudes that were like, I mean, they're racist pretty much, but he started kind of getting an idea of why they're racist.
Yeah.
And
it's actually deeper than just somebody telling you.
Exactly. So he starts having, and you start seeing their point of view, and you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
He's racist, but he's probably, it's gonna sound pretty stupid. He's racist, but he's not a bad person.
Right.
You get me? But you understand why he's racist.
He's racist for more reasons than somebody telling him he should be racist.
Exactly.
Because here's where I get kind of in that show is like, if you're completely racist and a horrible person, you wouldn't even talk to him. You wouldn't talk to him.
You would beat him up in the spot.
Yeah, like you would do something drastic, right?
Yes.
And the idea, and what now this is me analyzing the show and that specific episode or whatever, is that person is racist because he was meant to believe that it was those people's fault that he didn't have a job, that his life wasn't good, and all this stuff, right?
Exactly.
And maybe his parents weren't good parents, and maybe he went to a school where he didn't see the best stuff, and then eventually he was like, well, yeah, all this stuff adds up. It must be these people's fault, and now I'm gonna be racist, right?
Right.
And I think that's kind of what the show was trying to show you is like, well, you're not really racist. You just at the end he's like, you just had me here all week, bro, talking to me.
Exactly. Like he fed him. He housed him.
Yeah.
Like,
and he even told him he loved him, dude, at the end.
Yeah, he hugged him. He's like, dude, come on. Like,
and I think that's the issue is that the topics are so, like, greater than just, like, eliminating one thing.
But imagine if a lot of people had those conversations. Well, obviously now we can't, especially with social media, because now we feel more distance. We sit behind a keyboard and we think that we're moral warriors and we can judge everything.
Right.
And we can say, "Oh no, I'm doing great because I'm commenting on this person and telling him he's racist." And then the opposite, I'm telling him he's a snowflake. I'm telling him he's a liberal.
Right.
So we kind of polarized even more in the age of social media. You know what I mean? Instead of sitting down and having these conversations. I mean, in Twitter, you can't have those conversations because there's only like 100 and something characters.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't really have those conversations. But I think it polarizes people even more because you can't really express how you feel or prove a point. I mean, if you just sit there all day and you really want to prove a point, then you can.
Yeah, you can.
But most people are not going to do it.
Right.
Exactly. So that's what I mean. We can't have those conversations like that, dude. He went and...
Well, that's the thing, too. Like you're saying, like when you have a conversation with somebody... You don't see that Twitter side. You see like a normal person having a conversation.
Exactly.
And that's kind of like where I feel like we're lost. Like we're like, we need to calm down, slow down, relax.
Right.
And trying to analyze everything first before moving forward.
Each other's perspective.
Yeah. And then just like moving forward for that.
Exactly. So that's where I think that's where the whole cancel culture was born out of. This polarization between the right and... The right and wrong.
No, dude. Because cancel culture has been around for a long time.
Well, since social media time.
No, it's been around for a long time, bro. Well, I don't want to say a long time, but I have the where they try to cancel Eminem for when the Columbine shooting happened.
What year was that?
Dude, I don't know. Whenever the Marshall Mathers LP came out, and the kids shot up the school right in.
Yeah.
I don't know. In the CD, he's like, "Middle America. Now it's a tragedy. Now it's sad, right?" And they try to be like, well, you can't be using this and you can't be saying this in your lyrics. That's a form of cancel culture. Like you can't You're saying that. But that's the thing. A lot of times it's just off of hype, right?
Right.
Because Eminem kind of tries to prove that point because in his CD later, when he's not as big and his music isn't as big, the lyric where you can't find on his CD, that no matter if you get the explicit version now, Marshall Mathers, there's a lyric that is not allowed at all on his CD.
Yeah.
Right? He says that line in his CD maybe a couple years ago, and he's like, let me say this line and see if it really mattered to them.
Yeah.
And he says that line, and it's on the CD, dude. That exact line.
Yeah.
The one that you can't find on the first Marshall Mathers EP,
yeah.
he has it on the other CD. And that's where I'm at. It's like sometimes it's just reactionary to the moment.
Right.
And I think we need to slow down and stop being so reactionary and try
that's what Andrew Schultz said. It's just people fake care about things. It's
right.
Like they wait. Like, what am I gonna fake care about today? You know, they don't really care about Pepe Le Pew being canceled. They don't really care about Eminem saying that.
They just care about what most people are saying, and then
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, who gets this started, or does the cancel culture really get started, or like, I don't want to get too conspiratorial, but I was hearing the Rogan cast. He had this one dude who works for the World Health Organization, and they were talking about China and Russia, and you know, watching these documentaries like Lo and Behold, and then the social media experiment, all these things on Netflix,
right?
And you start wondering, what if somebody just, I don't know, I'm not saying Russia or China, or maybe it is, maybe it's not, just introduces these things into the web so they can rile people up, and we become more polarized.
Right.
You get me? Because like you said, it's all about hype.
Yeah,
so if that starts gaining some hype, people are gonna get behind it. Especially the ones that think they're moral warriors. They're gonna wake up and like, oh, I kind of care about this today. I'm gonna get behind it. So then they create this polarization between people.
Right.
You know, like, oh, why are they canceling it? No, we have to cancel it. No, we don't. And then people start because we can't sit down and have a conversation. Okay, why the fuck are we actually canceling? Like me and you. You get me?
Right.
So
it's impossible though. It's impossible because there's one thing that wasn't around back then that is around now, and that's social media.
Exactly.
Social media has controlled most people's lives.
Yes.
In the way that, you know,
especially this new generation, their whole life revolves around social media, dude.
Yeah, like we grew up with technology when we were already like seniors in high school.
Yeah.
Like that's when we still had flip phones like at that time, right? And then and then towards like senior year we slowly started getting like the new iPhones.
We grew up in that
and like the in between, the transition between
the transition generation. That's what I like to call it, dude. Yeah. We're the transition because we grew up without phones, and we didn't even get fully into cell phones till I want to say after senior year.
Right.
Because I when I began college, I still didn't. I mean, Facebook. I was barely on Facebook.
I think I had was it called BlackBerry? BlackBerry. I think I had a BlackBerry.
That was my
first
Razors.
That was like my first smartphone, like the BlackBerry.
Yeah.
And then they had the one with was it called the Sidekick, where it's like, and then you
yeah. I had like the Galaxy 1 when it came out.
But I don't know. Honestly, dude, just to end the topic, it's difficult. It's difficult because it's so much more complex.
Yeah.
Like, who decides this? What is bad? What is good?
Who sets the parameters?
Who sets what the correct is? And there's some people who, in my opinion, should be allowed to push that line.
Yeah.
And there's other people that shouldn't be allowed to push that line. But who decides which people are allowed?
Right.
You know, and I feel like it's a lot more complex. And also, it's like everything that I said in the last, 30 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, right? It's all with the intention of understanding, not to say like, you know, like, oh, well, all of a sudden this person said this and they should be canceled. It's like, no, I don't know. I have no idea.
Right.
Like, I don't have an answer.
Of the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have an answer. We're just putting it out there, trying to analyze it.
Yeah. Like, I don't have an answer.
We're not saying it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
We're just putting it out there.
And that's the thing. And I feel like going back to the podcast is, the podcast that I'm watching and I really enjoy is that podcast from Mexico with, whose name is Roberto Martinez and Jacobo Wong. And it's just called, Cosas, right? Just things.
Yeah.
And they just talk about things, and the guy brings a topic, and then, you know, they kind of talk about what's going on, and then kind of move forward from there. But then at the end, he's like, "Well, we don't have the answers, right? Like, we don't know."
It's like a disclaimer.
Yeah, like
sort of.
Yeah, like this is what we may believe,
right?
But we also are open to other ideas, right?
Right.
Like, I have no problem bringing in somebody and having a conversation with somebody who thinks, you know, one way or the other. Like, I want to hear
Right.
You know, and I want to have a debate, and I want to say things, and I
want to know why you think that.
And at times it's like, this is the thing too. Is like at times it's like it's okay to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because that's where you learn. Like when you mess up, that's when you learn the most.
Yeah, you learn and you evolve and you grow.
Yeah, and you go, well, yeah, maybe I said,
you know, if you don't grow, then you're not. Then you kind of have a problem.
Yeah. So, do you have another topic, or that was the main topic? That was the main topic.
Oh yeah. Right? Well, to end that, I just want to say it, like, well, to just piggyback on what you said, I just think it's dangerous because, like I said, it's like a slippery slope because you kind of start. Where do we stop? Where do we start? And then also because it takes away from the actual problems going on. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So I think just to end on that note.
Do we have another topic for today, or is that what we want to? No, not just one topic for today on our specifically random podcast.
Just one topic?
Yeah, for today.
Did you get your stimmy already?
No, I wish. No, I haven't. But hopefully next week, and we can buy better equipment, maybe a light, so that we can start a video here.
Yeah. And, hold on, I wanted to say something else about that before we finish that topic. So I said that it's dangerous, that it's slippery slope. No, yeah, hold on. Oh yeah, so back on that. So I say it's a slippery slope because what's gonna happen when somebody cancels somebody, and that somebody who got canceled ends up committing suicide?
Right.
Does the other person get to cancel the other person?
Right. Like, where does it become dangerous?
Is gonna become. So canceling culture is gonna become dangerous. Not dangerous, but should it cancel itself because of that, of the outcome of that? You get me?
Right.
So,
like, where does it end in the sense of
like
if the cancel culture ends with something worse than what the other person did?
Exactly, dude.
Right?
Yes.
Like, let's say, like you said, let's say, and I'm laughing because it's like what are you gonna do in that situation?
Yeah.
Let's say that I cancel you because you said some racist things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
or let's not say racist. Let's just say we canceled you because you made a video about something
racist things.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or something you didn't like.
Something I didn't like. Okay. Yeah. Let's just not say racist things. Let's say
and then
something.
It gets hype.
And then it gets hype, and then you end up killing yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
That's crazy.
Now, what you did before, was that worse than what I did?
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I made you, like, if you wrote it down, like, I committed suicide because Jonathan Longo, you know, freaking canceled me.
He made me lose my job.
Yeah, and I committed suicide.
Right.
It's like, well,
Are you going to feel okay? Are you going to feel happy?
Yeah. Now, look, we're not saying that's what's going to happen. We're just saying that can happen in some random situation.
It can, though. It really can.
Yeah. And that was kind of like the conversation that, well, not really. Never mind. No. It's just like, what happens if it gets worse?
Yeah. That,
like, if what you do canceling this person actually affects them worse than what they did.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Is that really like a viable solution? Like, why not have, like you said, why not try to have a conversation and make them learn? That's the thing, too, that I told my colleagues, and specifically people that I text and stuff. It's like, the cancel culture, I get. Like, I'm not saying I don't get. But are we trying to teach them something, or are we just trying to eliminate them?
Right.
You know? And I feel like if we have a conversation and try to learn,
maybe
they don't learn.
Right.
Okay? But eventually, like, when they don't learn, eventually their hype is going to run out.
Yeah.
And they won't be around, and we won't see them anymore.
Exactly.
But why not take that idea and try to, like, okay, well, let's try to teach them and then move forward from there. I don't know. Do I think it's a solution? I don't know, dude. I have no idea.
That's what I mean. It's dangerous. It's like people just fake care, man. They need to get behind the real issues.
It's too dangerous. But that's the thing. Like, what is the real issue in your opinion? Because maybe in their eyes, we can talk about this later.
Right.
But, like, you may think that one thing is a real issue, and I may think.
I shouldn't have said real issue. I mean, bigger issues, so to speak.
But that's the thing. Like, that's the thing too. Is like, because humans are so complex, I may think one thing is a big issue, and you may not think it's a big issue. And it even happens amongst families, right?
Yeah.
When something bad happens in your family, you may take it as like, oh, no big deal, and somebody else would be like, life is over. So that's kind of like the bigger thing too. Like, who decides what is a big issue?
Right.
And where is that line we're gonna draw? I don't know, dude.
Well, I mean, look at everything that's going on in the Middle East right now with Syria. Like, it's like what they were saying, and I think Joe Rogan or The Real Idiots, one of the two podcasts, they were saying The Ted Cruz, Ted Cancun Cruz, whatever they call them, that he went to Cancun.
Cancun, yeah.
It got more attention than Biden approving bombing to Syria, dude.
Yeah.
How does that happen? How do people get behind criticizing like what the fuck was Ted Cruz supposed to do? Turn the light back on?
Because
like, I get it. I understand it. You know, you're supposed to. It's your city. He's the.
Because in our society, this is just me trying to analyze our society, but I feel like we're much more individualistic. Like we believe in ourselves. Like they bombed Syria.
Right.
Do I think bombing people is horrible? Yes, I do.
Yes.
But in the general, did it affect any Americans? Probably not a lot.
Right.
Or if any.
Right.
Right? Because those are not, quote unquote, our people. They're people from Syria. And I think that's the thing. Like.
Okay, but no, well, just not to get out of topic too much. Yeah. That was just an example, the whole Syria and Ted Cruz. But what I was getting to is like, look at everything that's going on in the Middle West, in the Middle East, I mean. And then, if I'm not mistaken, what's going on in Nigeria, to be exact. Mm-hmm. One African country that like hundreds of girls are disappearing. They're disappearing legit. So either they're being harassed, sold into slavery, or sold into sexual labor. Mm-hmm. So where's the outrage for that?
Yeah.
Where's the hashtag for that? So we're gonna care more about Pepe Le Pew than girls actually being taken? That's my point. And it's because these people don't want to look into that. Not that they don't want to look into that, easier. But they don't care. It's
easier for them, dude.
Yeah, because it's already trending and it's hyping up.
Yeah.
They're not gonna go and search up like trying to actually do something good. They're
but
gonna
does one negate the other though? What I mean is like.
No. They both can be bad.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Pepe Le Pew's bad. It might be bad, and then the girls are definitely bad.
Yeah, right.
The girls being kidnapped are definitely bad.
But why can't you do both? That's my thing.
Yes.
Like, why can't you care about both?
Right.
Why can't we care about both?
Right. We should.
Exactly.
We should care about both.
Exactly.
But this like they said, this cancel culture generation, most of it they don't. They just get behind the one that's
super hyped.
Exactly, and that actually doesn't appear to tackle the actual problem. So that's my concern with this whole. And that's why Andrew Schultz, I like to say that a lot of people fake care, you know, a lot of things. Because it's like remember last year, before the
everything
pandemic.
on Netflix, bro. Any big issue on Netflix, like you watch a
That's
series.
what I was going to get to, dude. Remember last year, before the pandemic, Quaden?
Who?
Quaden, the little short dude, the little kid that he got bullied supposedly at school. That dude that he had a condition.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
His name was Quaden.
Yeah.
And then everybody was like, justice for Quaden and blah, blah. And then the week after, then the Gabriel Fernandez
the trials came
got released. And then everybody got behind that. And it's like, okay, we kind of forgot about Quaden. And then now everybody forgot about Bo, dude.
Yeah.
But you remember that? It's like...
Time heals. Not everybody forgot about Cancun Ted. Bro, that was like 2 weeks ago, bro.
Yeah, exactly. But give it another week. You know, the stimulus already came out. Everybody's going to be talking about that. Nobody's going to care about Ted Cruz anymore.
But I'm saying, like, nobody cares about Ted Cruz anymore.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like, nothing is... It's like...
Yes, so
Ted
it's
Cruz,
like... well, not so much about the cancel culture, but just people in general. They're just, like I said it before, they swallow whatever the media feeds them. You know, whatever's on the menu, and on the menu I meant Netflix, Facebook, Twitter, that's what they're going to swallow. They don't make their own choices of what to care about. So that's why I say they just fake care about whatever's on the menu. You know? And I mean...
But what? I don't know. That's a hard question though. Cause like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah,
exactly. I'm not saying we're not gonna do anything.
Yes.
Or we're gonna do something.
That's always the hard question, dude.
But like,
what are we gonna do to
what
solve
is the
this?
solution?
Yes.
Because
we wouldn't be sitting here if we knew the solution.
Maybe in general that's how people are. That they focus on specific things for a short amount of time. Let's think about this. Let's say that this podcast we do one episode. Next week we do another episode.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be like, whatever. We're not going to do it anymore. Yeah. Because that's what generally happens.
Yeah.
Like, people are generally like that. Like, they get interested in one thing, and then they don't care after a while because time just, you know, like, that's why there's only a certain amount of people who are really, really successful.
Right.
Like, because people don't put in, like,
consistency.
Yeah, like, they don't put in the time to be like, okay, well, I'm going to care about all these things. That's why there's a small group of like foundations that, but that we don't know about, but that are dealing with, the Gabriel Fernandez things, and you'll see foundations trying to deal with that because the government can't make a good enough system to try to help those kids. Because if you watch the series at the very end, they're like, well, a month or a year later, a kid similar to the situation got killed. And it's like, bro, how do you not learn from the first time, bro? Like, you know what I mean?
And I heard there's been a lot of cases, not only that.
Yeah, exactly. There's been a lot of cases. So what happens is there's a group that becomes a foundation that they live off of that they enjoy helping people, and they become like this group. And now they're a small group, right? While everybody else is not talking about Cancun Ted.
Right.
Now you have foundations, right? And I think that's the thing. It's like people are so... There's a small amount of people that stay consistent to, that one thing.
Yeah.
And they become people who lead foundations that become...
And I'm not saying it's wrong, to do it, to get behind it and to support it at that moment. I'm just saying that people, like, you don't really care. You're just getting behind it because it's trending. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. We do it. We're doing it right now with the whole topic.
Right.
Exactly. We're talking about it. So,
but I think that's the thing. Like, is there a solution, or is this just how it's going to be because of social media? Or do you think people are going to learn and try to expand their ideas and move forward to the, move forward and try to learn about more things?
Well, that would be nice. I mean, that was the whole, if we were learning more as we go, as every topic. But that's the other problem, that we're not sitting down and having the conversations when these things arise. We're just yelling at each other on social media and talking shit and saying a bunch of nonsense. And then we move on to the next thing. And then we do the same thing. It's very few things that we actually sit down, or people sit down and talk about, and we have a conversation.
Right.
So we're just going through these trending topics and then saying, okay, you're wrong. No, he's wrong. This is why he did it. This is why he died. This is why he got killed. Mm-hmm. But we're not actually talking about it. We're just yelling at each other what we think.
Like, this is your fault. This is your fault.
Exactly. This is his fault. This is your president's
fault. Yeah, but
fault.
when you did it, it's okay. But when I did it, it's not okay. Like, that's where I'm at now, too. Yeah. It's like, hold up. All right, let's take a step back. When this person did it, it was okay. But when the other person does it, it's not okay. It's not okay. But then in the reverse, it's like, well, that person just did it a week ago. Now it's okay for you. Like, dude. It wasn't okay for you, and it's it.
And I understand that from politicians, because that's what politicians do in nature. But the people that get behind these politicians, the group of people, that's what's scary, dude.
The hypocrisy that you see. But maybe that's just human nature, dude. I don't know. I have no answers, bro. I think it's just human nature. I just think this is how complex life is.
I mean, honestly, it can be human nature, but then again, you can't just dismiss it as human nature.
No.
Because then...
What I'm saying is, like, I just think it's so complex that all these things will continue to happen.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. It just got more complex because of social media now.
Yeah, like, now everything's in the open.
Yeah.
Right? Before, you would have to read a newspaper and be like, oh, wow, this happened. Exactly. Then go to your friend's house and talk about it. Yeah. Then that friend talks about it with somebody else. Yeah. And then it takes forever. Now it's like you turn on, I don't know, dude. I turn on my phone and then, like, YouTube is like 24/7 at the very bottom. You can scroll through, like, COVID-19 videos. Yeah. Why should you get the vaccine? Why you think the vaccine is good? Then you have, like, Ben Shapiro coming out and be like, because, like, my algorithm has a bunch of stuff because I watch a bunch of stuff. David Pakman, who's a very liberal, left kind of person, and Ben Shapiro. Then Joe Rogan has random people, and it's like, why you should get the vaccine? Why COVID-19 is false? And it's like, bro, what? Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's the thing too. It's like, what? There's something going on, dude, and that we're not really getting the answers anymore. Yeah, where it's like now everything is polarized, right? And this is a point where it's like we're kind of I guess the topic now is like
just like random
polarized, yeah. But it's like polarization of both sides, I guess, in the sense. But like, there's another topic. I don't know. I'm gonna disclaim this. I have no idea anything about climate change.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I took a geography class.
Okay. Do I think it's happening? Based off of what I listened to on Joe Rogan, he's like, bro, 98% of the scientists think it's happening because of us. Then I'm going to go with the scientists, okay? Yeah. So I'm going to be like, I think it's happening because of us. Yeah. I don't know. Now, don't come over here and attack me because I don't know, okay? That's it. But what happens is it seems to be a lot that it's one side or the other.
Right.
Okay? And I think I was listening to something or reading something, and it was like, that only is happening here in the United States.
Yes, exactly.
In other countries, There are people on both sides, left and right.
They agree.
Okay, that are like climate changes happen because of us, bro.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it's not a partisan thing. It's like both things are happening because of us.
Yes.
And it's conservatives and liberals in the other countries. So there has to be something going on that is making
everything gets politicized here, dude.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean, Trump came out with the hydrochloroquine, and now you couldn't even talk about it because, now you support Trump. Now you're a racist. Now you're a Republican. It's like, dude, what the fuck? I'm talking about not a medicine, a substance, whatever it is. You know, It's like, how does that make you a Republican or a liberal? Like, what the fuck is going on, dude?
I think that's the thing too. But like, and
but yeah,
I have my ideas.
Yeah.
Right. I have my own ideas and I have my own thoughts. Okay. I agree with certain things. I disagree with other things. Right. Just like any human.
Yeah.
But I don't see myself as one side or the other, because I feel like as you get older and as you learn more things, you are going to understand more things. And the more you dive into it, you may change your mind. And I have this idea that I don't really think there's an answer to anything overall.
Yeah.
Like, I think the answer is so complex that I don't know if there's an answer to a lot of things that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know? And that's my thing. Like, I don't know if, let's say that if we drive all electric cars, for the rest of our lives, like, is it not going to stop us from the earth warming? I have no idea. I'm not a scientist.
Right. Yeah.
Do I think that's a solution? If the scientists say so and they think that's right, then that's fine. Right. But now you have to look at, well, what kind of scientists are they? Well, you know, are they getting paid by people to say yes or no?
Yeah, exactly. That's where it gets scary, dude.
Yeah.
When the money, gets involved.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, he's being supported by this party and they're giving him this much money or whatever, or this position. So now he has to say this. Yeah. So that's when it gets scary, But maybe it is like this in other countries. I mean, I haven't traveled in other countries. I just know, like, there's some topics that are not, like, when it comes to political, they're not debatable.
But like COVID-19, I know in other countries, like Argentina, for example, there's a lot of people who think it's fake and it's not really that dangerous, and they don't think that. Yeah. I don't know where they're getting that information. Right. I have no idea. Maybe they're right. Yeah. Do I think they're right? Not necessarily. But do I think I'm right? I have no idea. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe they're right, maybe they're not. Like, who am I to be like, yeah, they're wrong? Now, if almost every doctor says that it's dangerous, I'm going to be like, I think it's dangerous. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I'm not going to go to like a you have to go to med school, dude, and do all that. Just like, to figure it out. Yeah. And I'm not going to go to a construction worker who was reading Facebook for 3 hours dude. And we're like, bro, this is fake. YouTube videos. I'm good. I'm not gonna listen to you, dude. Yeah, dude. You know what I mean? Like, and see, that's the problem, that we gotten away from, like, listening to the professionals. Maybe I will listen to him and then go and be like, okay, this is why you were wrong. I think that's the better point. Yeah. I'm not saying that I won't listen to him. I will listen to them and be like, okay, let's try to figure it out. Let's try to figure it out if he's right or wrong. Because maybe he is right. Yeah. And I find other doctors saying it. Yeah. And he was actually, like, really smart. Right. I just gave a construction worker. It could have been anybody. Somebody walking on the damn street. Whatever they would do. Doesn't matter, dude. But that's the problem, though, that we're I mean, they're professionals for a reason. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, on Facebook, people talk about, like, oh, like your professors at school, they're liberals, they support communism, and everything they said it's fake. Like, I know the real history is like, dude, they wrote books, like they study that. Like, do you know what it takes to be a historian? Like, to get your PhD, you have to study, like, first primary sources, dude, like actual documents from the time period. Yet, dude, you just go on YouTube and watch a 2-hour documentary and read 2 books, and then you're like, no, dude, there's more much to that. Yeah. And there's a reason why these people are professionals. Of course, they're gonna have their biases, but that doesn't necessarily change the history. Right. You know what I mean? Well, and that's the thing too. Like, there's some things that I've been listening to some people, and I don't know, dude. I'd be like, bro, this is wrong. Like, come on, you can't be saying that, dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's not like, it's like factual things, right? Like, I don't know, like the way a war ended. Like, bro, like, everybody knows that's wrong, bro. Yeah. Like, what do you want me to... Now, you can argue on, like, the benefits or issues of it. You know what I mean? Like, what were the outcomes and how did it affect? you can argue all you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you can't like be trying to change history. Like, bro, that's how the war ended.
Exactly.
Like, there's people who like, hold on, how you, bro, like how you deny
Bro, you know there's people that deny
the Holocaust.
Yes, there's legit Holocaust deniers, bro. Like that's fucking mind blowing, bro. Or like there's people that what's the other one? I think somewhere in Texas or something like that. That the textbook said that the slaves, they were not slaves. They were that they offered their services for free. Dude, what? Like, dude, and then we go to the flat earthers, dude. Like, come on, bro. Like, you can't.
That's the thing, though. Like, there's some things that you can be like, but can you though?
Can you what?
Can you be like you're wrong?
Yeah, dude. Come on. It's like oh, come on, bro. Like.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, this fool said.
Yeah, you can't say that, bro, because then you give room for the flat earthers and all those people, man, and then you're gonna start another religion over here, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, there's some things that you can be like, it's wrong. You can, like I said, you can always debate like the the results, not the sense of like the result of a war, but like what happened after. Was it good? Was it bad? You can always debate that, right? Because there's always like two sides of everything.
You can,
but you can't be like.
That's why there's history and historians, because history is not black and white.
Right.
It's not like, it just happened like this. And like people say, oh, why do we study history? And it's like, like you said, you can actually argue who was the perpetrator,
right?
Who was the victim, who was right and who was wrong, Why they did that, the motives behind it, all that stuff, dude. Like,
you can argue everything.
There's people that said that the Holocaust was legit. Like the Jews are bad, dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you see all this going on with Israel and Palestine, and people are like, "Well, fuck, maybe they were right,"
Right.
So,
but you can't argue like.
You can't argue. You can't say the Holocaust was fake, bro. Come on, you can't say that shit. Come on, bro.
No, I agree. That's just stupid.
That's what I mean.
You know what? The best way I can say it is like this. Let me give you an analogy with soccer, right? You can be watching a game. Yeah. And the game ends, let's just say, I don't know, let's just pick two random teams. Let's just say, I don't know. Let's just say Sevilla and Porto. They played. Yeah. The game ended 4-0 and Porto won. You can't argue with me that Porto didn't win 4-0. Now, you can't because that's how the fucking game ended. Exactly. But you can't argue with me that Sevilla played better. Yeah. Right? Right. Or you can argue with me that Porto played better. Right. Or you can argue with me that that Sevilla created more chances. Or had better chances. Right. Right? Because having more chances or not is a number. It's like they had this chance, they had this. Right. But you can argue who had the better chances. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the thing that was like that's like you can't argue with me. You can't argue with me. The Porto didn't lose. Yeah, you can't argue with me that the game didn't end 4-0, dude. But you can't argue with me with all the other stuff. Right. But there are also some things that are really touchy, and I don't think you should argue. Right. Right. Like,
I think everything should be up for argument, though. Honestly, like everything should be up for debate. So. No, like as a
things that are not horribly disastrous towards people,
like the Holocaust thing. I mean, things like that should. I'm talking about like actual debates, things that actually happen. I agree. We're not denying anything, right? But like things like that should be.
But there's some things that are really tricky.
Yeah. No, I mean that's exactly why we should go into debate with them
to learn.
Exactly. To learn why are they tricky? Why do you think they're tricky? Right. So I think that plays a big part. And I just remember I told you about that guy from England. He's a British dude, like he's a TV host or whatever.
Oh, Piers Morgan.
Yeah, he just got fired, dude, because he said about this. I don't even know the lady's name, but she
Meghan
wanted
Markle.
to commit suicide or.
I had a conversation.
Yes, something like that. Yeah. And then this dude said, "I don't think." What did he say? I don't want to misquote him. He said, "I don't."
Okay, let's just say he said something.
He said, "I don't believe it." He said, "I don't really believe it." Okay. So that's his opinion, dude. He did not say, "I think she is lying." So I think that's one of the tricky things. Yeah. The play on words. Right. So he said, I don't believe it. Just because he doesn't believe it doesn't mean that he's saying that she's lying.
Okay, so there's also a very tricky thing there. I had a conversation, dude. I have a conversation with a bunch of people about random stuff.
Yeah.
But I had a conversation with this. There's a difference between believing that like, hey, I believe that I don't believe her.
Yeah.
Right? But then denying it if it actually did happen.
Right.
Right? So right now, we just have her word.
Exactly.
Okay? Do I believe one way or the other? Sure. Whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, right? But we also are jumping into conclusion and being like, well, that's what she said. That must be true. And I feel like that can also be tricky, right? Like, you can say like you didn't believe her, or you can say that you did believe her.
Exactly.
Right? But once the truth comes out, you can't be like, well, I don't believe her. Because that's like, okay, that doesn't make sense, dude.
Right.
But right now, we don't necessarily have, quote unquote, the evidence to prove it other than her word. And maybe we do. I don't know. I don't know the topic 100%. But maybe there is evidence, right?
Yeah.
And if there is, then he should be like, look, my bad. I messed up and I said it.
But he's not getting that chance.
Yeah.
And aside
from
that. But
he also give it to himself, bro. I've seen this fool talk a lot. Dude.
I mean, I don't know who that is.
You never seen Piers Morgan?
No.
That fool just talks random stuff.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he didn't say, oh, she's a liar, she's lying. You know, he didn't attack her. He just said, I don't think it's true. I mean, that's an opinion, dude. Like, he can believe whatever he wants. He can believe it or not.
I agree.
As long as you don't say, oh, you know, you're lying, you're a liar. That never happened. Like, okay, you're attacking her.
Well, it's the same thing though, bro. I don't believe her, and she's a liar is basically saying the same thing.
No, I don't think so, because you're saying I don't believe it. It's like you don't believe it. That's your own opinion, you know, because you don't want to believe it or whatever reasons. You know, maybe you don't want to believe in God because you're an atheist or whatever, and you don't believe it. But you're saying that, okay, you're lying.
Like you can't be like, hey, I don't believe in God, and that's fine. Like, I don't believe in God, but you can't be like, yeah, you're stupid for believing.
Exactly. That's my point. That's what I'm getting to. You can't
like directly attack her.
Yes. So I mean, so now we can't even express how we feel. Like,
but
I can't even say like, oh, you know,
when the evidence comes out,
then if he would have gotten that chance, he should say, you know what, I'm sorry. I apologize. And I mean, I didn't believe her at first, but I still apologized. You know what I mean?
think you should only apologize when you're proven incorrect.
Yes.
I don't think you should apologize because everybody tells you to apologize.
Well, yeah.
I don't think so. I have this belief that it's like,
but now
when you are proven to be incorrect, then you should apologize. But if you're not proven to be incorrect, then just keep believing what you believe, my dude.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of, I don't know. There's a balance though. That's the thing. Like, everything has a balance.
Yeah.
You know, and don't storm off the set, bro. I saw that fool just like storm off the set. Like,
I didn't. I'm telling you.
He got up and he was like, "I'm not having this," and then just like gets out. But
that's what I mean. I don't know much about the dude, but I heard on the radio and stuff what happened and stuff. So I was like, yeah, like, I mean, it was just his opinion. Like, you know, he wasn't attacking her. He wasn't saying like she's a liar, don't believe her, none of that.
I guess they have a history though. I'm not too sure that. I guess they have a history like between him and the Duchess, I think. Meghan
yeah.
Markle.
Oh yeah, it was the Duchess. Yeah, there you go.
The Duchess, Meghan Markle or something.
Yeah.
Like well, I think they have like a history going back though.
Yeah.
Like an issue or something.
But I think it would have been worse if he would have said like, I don't believe in suicide. Then okay, get the fuck out of me. You know what I mean? Like, okay, dude.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing too. Like, I guess I don't know if it was proven, but there's a lot of things that if it's true, it's messed up, dude. What they did.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that is, if it's true, like they didn't want to give her help because they said that.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna. No, not the kid, but like she was like depressed.
Yeah.
Which happens a lot to women.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not a lie. Like,
right.
Women get depressed after they have kids. It's not that difficult to understand. But they were like, well, we don't want you to go to a psychologist or something or a therapist because it's gonna make us look bad.
Well,
and that's horrible. Like,
yeah,
what, you can be like, because it makes us look bad?
Yeah.
How does it make you look bad, bro?
Exactly.
She's the one depressed, not you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's some like stupid stuff that like they called it optics or something like that. And then they, you know, like the race things that if it's true, then
that's
dude, like
up.
you know.
But I think a perfect example of what I wanted to say is like going back to the Holocaust thing. It's like if you have I don't know, when did they teach you about the Holocaust? Like in 8th grade?
10th grade.
10th grade, okay.
10th, 11th. Hold on.
Okay, let's take an 8th grader.
10th, 11th grade depends on, yeah.
Let's take an 8th grader. He has no idea of the Holocaust.
Uh-huh.
And you tell him. You start telling them this happened and that happened. And these people got killed and they got killed this way. And this million people died because of this ideology. And he says, I don't believe it. Do we cancel him?
That's different, though. He's an 8th grader, dude.
I know, but it's still, like, he doesn't believe it. Even though it happened. And then you show him, and then he's going to be like, oh, shit, it did happen. I believe it.
You should have that conversation. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, you should show people, like, how do you not believe this?
Exactly.
You know?
So,
but, like, that's the question that we should have. Like if you know somebody...
I'm not going to get mad at the 8th grader and be like, hey, get the fuck out of my class. You know, you're expelled.
But,
like, you know what I mean? You're
not
going to do that to your students.
Can we find a flat earther and be like, bro, the earth is not flat. Here's all the evidence that the earth is not flat.
Uh-huh.
That's not gonna do anything to them, dude, because they already think the earth is flat. Like, how do you, like, bro, look, man. Not to say that I'm like everything that science says. Okay, there's a bunch of pictures. Look, getting to the moon, you may have a conspiracy theory, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can tell the earth is round.
I know. Yeah.
You can just go to the ocean.
Right.
Go to the beach,
but see, I think
you can see it going like this.
I think that's a little different because those guys are actually providing counter arguments, and they're providing some pretty like gnarly like theories about why the earth is flat. You know, these people are just saying I don't believe it. That's it. They exactly. These people are just saying I don't believe it. You know, the flat earthers are not saying I don't believe the earth is brown. And
but they have an argument on why
they have a lot of arguments to
but
why.
Do the people who argue...
I mean, the arguments, are they
people
right?
who argue anything, they have arguments for everything, though. Bro, trust me, dude. They have arguments. Like, I watch all these things.
Well,
like,
if this dude would have said, well, I don't believe it because she's, I don't know, she's lied in the past, or she's a liar, or she has a history of lying.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, then you want to ask, well, why, you know?
Right.
He probably wouldn't have gotten canceled.
Right.
Or not canceled, but fired.
Right.
He wouldn't have got fired. But he just said, I don't believe it. I mean, I just think that you shouldn't get in trouble for having an opinion.
I don't know.
You know? Maybe they should have given him a chance and, you know,
but some opinions
come
are
out in
horrible,
the next show and say, you know what? That was my opinion. I'm not saying she's a liar. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but I don't personally believe it. That's it. And leave it at that, bro.
But nah, dude. Because some opinions are horrible, dude.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you still got to have them.
Bro.
Everybody has their own opinion.
Bro. There's some opinions that are horrible.
I know.
You can't just have... Bro, you can't come into it and be like... I don't want to say anything because then you get canceled. You can't just go walk in and be like, yeah, slavery was good.
Yeah, I know.
Like, that's a horrible opinion.
I mean, if you provide an argument, then I might hear you out. I might hear you out. I might hear you out. I mean, if it was good for the Southerners.
We're not gonna.
No, it was good for the Southerners. Wasn't it good for them? Exactly, for the economy, bro. It was good for them. So see how you can just argue something like that. When you provide an opinion with an argument to back it up, okay, that's different. You're providing, I guess you're
right. But what you're saying there is that the economy was greater than human life. And that's a whole argument.
No. I'm saying that it was good for the Southerners.
Right. No, I'm not. No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I understand the argument of why the Southerners did it.
Yeah.
I understand the argument of why they did it. But I would say that that's still a horrible opinion and a horrible argument because you're putting the economy over the lives of people.
I know, but you asked me if the slavery is good. It's good for the Southerners. Definitely.
It was good for
human high life
because they used them improperly. That's horrible.
But it was good for them because they were making money, dude. I'm not saying it was good. I'm saying overall it was bad for humanity.
Right. You're not. Okay, I understand what you're saying. You're not saying that that's what you believe. You're saying that that's what the argument was made for them. An
argument would be.
What would be for the people who actually did it. Right. That's what the argument that they were saying.
Ultimately, I'm pretty sure you can find a counter argument for that.
Right.
That will override that, you know.
Well, yeah, anything will override that, bro. It's just that the simple fact of putting the economy above human life is horrible.
Exactly, but you can't just come out here and say, oh, you know, slavery was good, and then walk away. People are going to be like, what the You know what I mean?
Or slavery was bad. You can't do that anyway.
Exactly, but if you provide an argument for that, you know, for those horrible opinions.
Yes.
Then
slavery was bad. Slavery was good and be like, okay, I'm out. It's horrible. Because it's a horrible take.
Exactly. But if you come out and say, well, I don't
but you can But you don't want to have that argument, dude. That's so horrible.
I mean, if you think dude, there's people that believe the earth is flat. We just said that. And the people that believe the Holocaust.
Okay, so what you're saying is not that's what you're saying, that there's people who believe that slavery was good because of that specific thing.
Yes.
And that even though that's a horrible take, right? Uh-huh. That person should learn that that's a horrible take, and we should have a conversation with that person and try to move him away from thinking that.
Well, see why he thinks that in the first place.
Yeah, like what got him to think that still is. Like there's still people. Okay, let's go back. Because we don't want people to be like listening to this and be like, these motherfuckers are talking. Nah. Okay, let's go back. We give some context before we get to this. You go to a Southerner right now.
Yeah.
And there'll be somebody who comes up to you and says slavery is good for us.
Right.
Some racist.
Right.
Ignorant person.
Right.
Okay. And their argument would be because it's free labor and we can make more money off of it. Right. That's what their argument would be.
And because it's normalized.
There is somebody.
And because it's normalized.
Okay, so my question, because it's normalized to them, right?
In that period, yeah.
Okay, no. I'm talking about right now. There'll be somebody who says that now.
Okay.
Somebody who says that right now. Should that person be allowed to say that on TV?
To say that slavery is good because it promotes free labor?
Yeah. Do you think that? So that's my question. Because I don't want people to be listening and be like, Jair has his argument that slavery was good. No. My question is this. It's not about slavery.
Right.
You know that slavery was bad.
Right.
That you already said it. You know that slavery was bad. My question is, should that person be allowed to say that?
He should be allowed to say that and provide the argument for it. And then somebody should counter-argument that.
Right.
And then we should have the conversation. But that person should not be canceled immediately. Because you gotta analyze it and try to understand why people think this way. You know? I mean, ultimately, that's what historians do.
Right.
You know? I'm not saying I'm a historian yet,
right,
but
right.
we try to analyze, like, why did the Holocaust happen? One day, people just didn't wake up and they said, okay, we're all going to kill all the Jews. No, it was periodically over time.
Yeah,
you know?
like why
it took over 100 years, you know? Things slowly built up. You know what I mean?
Right. But that's not my point. That's
no,
not,
no,
my
I
question
know, but
is
I'm saying
this. My question is
we
this.
have to try to understand
should that person... Now, I'm not talking about I think, yeah, you should understand all the things that happen over history. I'm not saying that, right? But what I'm saying is that because let's just round off to this cancel culture and then hopefully stop having the conversation about this. That person comes on TV.
Right.
Like we said about Piers Morgan and, you know, she's a liar or I don't believe her.
Right.
Which is, I agree. It's something sort of different, but I would still say that that's in the realm of like, I don't believe her. Because if I tell you like, I don't believe you, then your answer would be like, you calling me a liar? That would be your answer.
Yes. Okay. That's a cliche though. You're calling me a liar?
But here's my point. My point is this. There's a person right now.
Yeah.
Goes on TV and makes this argument about slavery. One more time. This is not our belief. I'm saying this person makes this argument. Right. That wouldn't be me or you. I wouldn't be making this stupid ass argument. But there's somebody on. Should that person get canceled? You need to answer this question right now. Should that person get canceled? Now,
I don't think they should.
Okay.
Because it'll spark a lot of outrage, but it'll spark great conversations across the whole board. I'm hoping, you know. Of course, the cancel culture is going to come out and want to cancel them right away. Should he get canceled? No. We should have this conversation. And then somebody should sit down with this guy or talk to this guy or conversate, argue with this guy. Somebody knowledgeable. I'm not saying me. You know, a historian, a philosopher. Somebody who knows in that field is an expert. Talk to this guy. Why do you think that? What got you to think that? Right. You know what I mean? And then, if that person still thinks that it was good, then then not saying we should cancel them, but something's wrong with this dude.
Well, actually, let's go back because I feel like I took that. Okay, so I feel like I took that as a more race thing because we're in America and that's what happened, right? But slavery has been around for before. Since, like the Roman empires had slaves.
It's just
whatever
different.
it is. It was just it was organized differently. It was basically like
the
Roman Empire.
Motives, I guess you can say.
Like the Roman Empire would take over a land and be like, you either listen to us, you don't. Boom, you're our slave.
Badass, dude.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying
here's
slavery
the thing.
was badass.
But in general, why were there slaves?
Like, what was the benefit of having those slaves?
Here in America?
No. Just in like
in general?
Yeah, like historically speaking, right? And one of them was, well, they're gonna do shit for you for free,
I
right?
guess
But it had nothing to do. Here's where it becomes very different.
Right.
Here, right? It becomes very, and I think you sent me the video about Immoral Technique talking about this. It becomes very different here because back in the day, it was more like I'm
stronger than you.
Of course, there's other situations. Okay, yeah. Look, there was other situations where they specifically took a group of people and they made them slaves. I'm not talking about that. I think grouping them up. Well, first of all, I think having slaves in general is horrible.
Yeah,
okay? Let's not talk about this.
That's bad.
But it's been It's been around for a long time. Okay. Back in the day, it was more specifically on like this. Let me see if I can get my thoughts together. They would take over a land. I'm badass. I took over your land.
Right. I'm tougher than you. I'm not
tough,
badass.
Yeah. I'm tougher than you. Exactly. I'm tougher than you. I took over your land. Do you want to listen to us? No. Boom. You're our slaves. Move on. Okay?
Exactly.
Something like that, right? And the purpose of having slaves, though, was for them to do work for them.
Yep.
To grow my crops, to grow all this stuff, right?
Because you got to do it because I'm stronger than you.
Exactly.
I'll beat your ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they had no choice.
Now, it had nothing to do. Okay, one more time. Some situations there was about like specific people who got persecuted and put into slavery and stuff like that. Okay. So that argument would be the same. The issue here is that when you make that argument in the United States and you have somebody on TV going, well, slavery was good because it gave us free, or it gave people free labor, right?
Yeah.
When you have the context of saying it in America, you're going to have the context of race.
Right. Well, yeah, definitely.
Right? Well, that's the thing. Even though that person may be talking about slavery in general, back to the Roman Empire.
Okay.
When you say it in America, you're going to have the context in race.
Okay.
And people are automatically going to assume that person is racist. And not people. Most likely, all of us would be like, oh,
he's racist.
He's racist, right? Should that person then get canceled? And I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult. I think I would be like, that's a pretty bold thing to say in the TV without giving any context and just randomly saying shit and saying that. I think it's very bold.
Right.
You know? I wish that what you said was true. That we would have a conversation and be like, all right, dude, listen, okay?
Or whoever's in that show, at least try to have a conversation.
Yeah,
with
not just be like, you're stupid and
yeah, exactly.
And
not
like,
just boot him like somebody like try to have and I think that's what we need to do, you know, just not just I guess we're in this big ass TV show and everybody's just yelling at each other and booing at each other.
Right. Instead
of somebody getting up and having that conversation with that person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But I don't know, man. That's a tricky conversation. Because I don't know. I would, on that side, I would be like, well, that makes sense to get canceled for saying something stupid like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a fine line that you're like, yeah, I don't know if I would have said that. Yeah. Dude. You know, even if you want to have that conversation, you can have the conversation about any other thing.
Right.
You know?
But like you said, I think because, you know, we're in America and it becomes about race.
Yeah.
And then all this, everything we're going through right now.
Right.
That plays a big part.
Right.
But it's like
it's hot. It's like heavy.
If you would go on a TV show right now and you would say, "Well, I don't believe in God," you know, people would be like, I mean, that's your opinion, you know. I believe it. It's okay if you don't." He won't get as much outrage as if he was
right because it has nothing to do with the context of the United States.
No, but hold on. But if he would go back to before Martin Luther and the Protestant Reformation, and you would say, and you would stand in the you would go to the
I would be a witch or something.
You would go in the church and you would say, "I don't believe in God." What would happen to you, dude?
I'd get killed.
Exactly.
I'd be like, "That's a witch."
Exactly, but because we're in the context of European, that's
right.
When the time the church, you know, ruled
everything.
But
shouldn't you learn? Shouldn't you? So when did it become okay
to say that?
Wait, when does it become okay to say that? Like when would
I think when Martin Luther, after Martin Luther found the 95 theses and all that stuff, and he found the problems within the Catholic Church and all that stuff, and then people started saying, well, maybe this is not good, and then, you know, atheism was born. Well, atheism has been around forever, you know, but then the atheist like, see, the Catholic is bad, the Protestant is bad, it's fake, or it's not real, whatever, you know. And then eventually became acceptable for you not to believe in God. I'm not saying it's going to become acceptable for you to be racist, but maybe what I'm saying is it should be acceptable for us to have that conversation, or for somebody to go and say, you know what, I think slavery is good. But then somebody should say, why is it good? Why do you think it's good? You know, it's like somebody goes, well, I don't believe in God. Well, why don't you believe in God? You know what I mean? It's not gonna raise as much outrage.
Yeah, but
because in the time period we're living on,
God and racism is something different, dude.
Depending on the time we're living. Like I said, if you would go back to before Martin Luther and you would say that,
you would get killed.
Exactly, dude. But now you won't. See what I mean? Maybe we're gonna have this conversation, right? But in the next 100
not about
years.
Racism. I think we're going the opposite way.
I think because racism and the
but the thing is, like, I don't think we're making a necessarily connection here, though, because I feel like you want to have those. So you want to have the conversations to teach people so that they don't end up being like that. And like I said before, we're trying to minimize the amount of racists,
right?
Because unfortunately, I don't think not in my lifetime. In my lifetime, there's still gonna be a bunch of racist people. But we're trying to minimize the amount of racists. And how do you do that is the question. How do you do that? Do you do that and let's go back to this point. Do you do that by when somebody goes on TV and says something stupid like, oh, well, slavery was good because of free labor? You just automatically cancel them? Or do you do that by teaching people? Like, that's the moment where you'll be like, I think you're wrong because of this and this and that.
That's the moment you do it.
And that's the thing I think you're trying to explain. I feel like we got a little bit lost in
but it also does kind of connect a little bit with the whole God thing, because right now, exactly in the context of America, slavery is relatively new.
Right.
I mean, slavery it was just over in 1865, technically speaking.
Yeah.
And then you got the civil rights just like 60 years ago, dude. Your dad was alive or was born. Yeah. So it wasn't even that long. So it's still kind of a taboo to go out and say, "Yo."
But it's not it is a taboo to go out. I think it's a taboo to go out and have a conversation and have a conversation, like a deep conversation thing. And I feel like we're going the wrong way in which, like you said, like canceling people by saying this. I think it should be more like, let's teach them and try to minimize. It should be
an opportunity to educate people.
Yes.
Not to be like. It should spark a conversation where, like, hey, you guys heard about this guy who said this? Well, it's not true because this and that. Instead of like, hey, that guy's wrong, cancel him.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna. I feel like, and I feel like that's gonna minimize. I feel like that's gonna minimize the amount of outrage.
Yeah.
When you don't get canceled and you're getting taught stuff, you may actually feel like, well, maybe I should be listening.
Exactly, dude. That's what I'm getting to, because the minute you get canceled, what is the other side gonna get? They're gonna say, see, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't have any arguments again. That's what they're saying right now, dude.
Yeah.
What is the kid who lives in the South where that guy went
and it works on both sides, though.
Exactly.
It works on both sides.
That's what I'm saying. It works on both sides, because, like I said, what is that kid gonna say in the South who's growing up with his dad being this guy who believes slavery is good? What is he going to say? My dad is probably right. That's why they're canceling him. They don't want to hear the truth. He's going to grow up the same. Rather than, we're not going to cancel this dude, but we're going to talk about it, and we're going to sit down and have this conversation. We're going to create these hashtags, and we're just going to, educate people. Right. And this kid's going to see it, and he's like, hey, Dad, what the fuck what are these people saying this,
Right.
And maybe, like you said, the dad or the guy himself, he's going to say, yeah, maybe I was wrong. Maybe, I'm being educated here. But if he just gets canceled, he's going to be like, man, fuck these guys. They're canceling me. They don't even want to talk about it.
That's tough, man.
Yeah, dude, I told you.
That's tough. Because is that a solution? I think the goal is to minimize the amount. Minimize the amount of all things that I don't think are ever going to get solved. Like for example, police shootings.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, that's another topic.
Well, yeah. We're not going to get into it. But, those are things that I don't, like racism, for example, in this moment. I think it's like minimize the amount of times it happens. Yeah. So, how can we minimize the amount of time? Yeah. Because no matter what you say. But the
actual racism happens, though. Racism. Not comments or
right. Or that's the tricky. And that's what we talked about with my, through a text message with somebody else. And I said, that's the issue. Sometimes people say that's racist. And it takes away from things that are actually racist.
Exactly. You dilute the racist.
Yeah.
You dilute the racist out of racism.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
And that's the same thing with everything, dude. You're diluting rape with the actual rape victims. You're diluting
Yeah, like
You
everything,
everything,
harassment, everything.
Yes,
Like if
exactly.
if you
Race,
yell,
everything, dude.
if you yell harassment for something all the time,
Exactly.
then it's gonna dilute like the people who actually were harassed. And people now
everything, dude.
now once again there's a fine line.
Yeah.
Because like you want people to speak up when it actually happens.
Right.
So if it's happening a lot,
and we're not saying it's right, it's wrong, regardless. Right. But I mean, like you said, there's a fine line between that. Right. You know,
there's a fine line between listening to everybody that says everything and also waiting for evidence. Right. There's a fine line between cancel culture and not cancel culture. There's a fine line between
and I think,
a lot of things.
Like you said, we got to educate, minimize, and another thing, we got to stop trying to shut the door on everything we don't agree with or we don't like. Instead we should try to research and educate ourselves and try to have a conversation. I mean, not directly with that person, but just
it should be
try
on everything though.
Yeah, that's
on
what
both,
I'm saying.
On both.
Just because you see something that you don't like or something that you don't agree with, don't try to like, I'm gonna block this person. That's hard to do, though,
man. That's hard to do in this age of social media.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the solutions. One of the solutions to minimize things, not the absolute solution, but to minimize things. Too.
Right.
Instead of like, I'm gonna block this person because I don't like him, or I'm gonna unfollow this person. Like, no, like I'm gonna have a debate with this person. It's like me and that dude Richard Roy Bow on Facebook, dude. Like.
Right. I haven't seen those debates in a long time.
Oh, I'm blocked on Facebook and he's blocked too because I reported him.
Why'd you report him?
Because he said something about he generalized saying stupid Italians or something. So I reported that comment and he got blocked for like 30 days, but he doesn't know this. Yeah, dude. So like me and him,
we should get that fool to come on the podcast.
Me and him always go back and forth, and he's not a Republican. He's not a. That's gonna be the first person we get on here. Yeah, dude, he'll come, dude. I'll message him right now. He'll come. He'll be here. Yeah, he's a hardcore libertarian, dude. So, like me and that dude always go back and forth about a lot of things, dude. But I'm not. I mean, the moment he says something, I'm not gonna go and block him or unfriend him.
But you did do that.
Oh no, I reported him because I got blocked. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna block him too, because I knew he was gonna get pissed. He always messages me when he gets blocked.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, and he's like, oh, dude, look at this.
Send him a message. Let's get this guy on.
Yeah,
because I think he has a lot of followers too, so we can.
Oh yeah, he and then he's pretty smart, dude.
Yeah,
that's all I like.
I'm not gonna debate him, so yeah. I'm just gonna be here to listen and be like, what do you think about this situation?
Yeah,
but also, I think we should make the podcast a little bit more deep. I like the randomness, but I think we may have talked.
But everything came together, though.
I agree.
Everything came together at the end. Cancel culture, racism, everything comes together.
I agree. I just don't know if we can do this every week because we want to make sure we have like maybe 2 or 3 topics and then quick and be like, okay, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Because how much can people listen to these 2 random people talking about cancel culture? But then again,
I mean,
which
that's also want to provide context.
The balance.
So, but you want to provide context.
I agree. We did.
And you can't just move on from a topic like this, just like, that's it. We're gonna move on.
Sometimes it'll be less serious.
We moved on to cancel culture.
Yeah. Then to racism.
Racism, non-believers.
All right. So here's my idea. We're gonna close off here. Just to plug my other podcast. So.
Oh yeah, dude.
Okay. So this is the thing. So this is just gonna be a random topics. Hopefully we don't get in trouble or anything like that. Everybody gets in trouble for saying stuff nowadays. So
that's okay, dude.
So my other podcast is gonna be called Educate. Or Educator. I'm not too sure. I have the title. I'm not too sure. But the idea is this: I want to bring in like just people who teach in general.
Yeah.
But not necessarily like classroom.
Yeah.
It can be like coaches.
Oh, nice.
Everything like that. Yeah. And basically, I got this idea. Like I told you, I listened to Roberto Martinez, and he has the 2 podcasts, right? The random one.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we're doing here. And he has this one called Creativo.
Yeah.
Which is basically he invites creative people who create stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Musicians and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, musicians, reporters, right? That go in and create like reports about things. Everything like that. So basically my idea, and the reason I want to talk about it, my idea is to get educators to come in because I feel like we can have a deep conversation about education and how to teach people and things like that. And I want it to be like variety of it, like coaches,
soccer coaches, football coaches, whatever coaches
because the methodologies. I mean,
like the
it can be the same, it can be different, but you can apply it to across the whole field.
That's exactly what I want to do, dude.
Yeah,
like what makes that's an idea that I came up with maybe like 2 weeks ago. That I'm like, I like it, dude, and I like it because it's something that really interests me because I feel like when I teach in like the classroom, a lot of the stuff that I do has a lot to do with the way I coach soccer. Yeah. And luckily for me, not to say that I was like the best coach ever or anything like that. I when it comes to soccer, I have been pretty like overall and successful like with the teams that I coach and stuff. And I kind of take that idea of like how to coach and teach the kids and motivate them into the classroom. Doesn't necessarily work the same because I know like soccer you want to be there, and in the classroom some kids don't want to be there, they're forced to be there and things like that. So it kind of takes away like I can be like, well, if you don't want to do this you can leave, you know what I mean, in the soccer field. Like, this is the way it's going to work, and we move it. You can't do that in the classroom. You can't be like, if you don't want to do this, right, you have to motivate different ways. But it interests me, dude, and it interests me because I feel like there's so many methods and understanding and
that you can teach
and you can learn from just talking to people. Yeah. And I love to have conversations, bro. Like if you were in my meetings at work, bro, I'd be like asking these questions of like, do you think that's really gonna work? Yeah. Like what you're asking us to do, do you think that's really like? Why do you think that's gonna work? How is that gonna work? Yeah. You know, and it kind of pushes you, right? Yeah. So I feel like sometimes, I don't know what you think. Maybe we can have a conversation right now, real quick, but I feel like sometimes there's some things that in the school system, you know, they're trying to push that is not necessarily something that they can control. Right. Right. Like, if education works for everybody who graduated from college would have a job. Exactly. Everybody would be successful. Yeah. But it's not true. Right. You know? And I listened to the guy that wrote, I don't know if you ever heard of the book Outliers. No. Yeah, it's like he talks about like people that are outliers in the society and things like that. And I haven't read the book, but I listened to him talk. And some of the things we just can't control. Right. You know? Specifically teachers. Yeah. Maybe it can be controlled in the society or whatever. But like I feel like sometimes there's some things that you cannot control. And in the education system, we're like, go to college, do this, do that, do that. And at the end, they're like, they don't go to college, and you're like, damn, we're failures. Yeah. And it's like, are we failures, or is our goal just the wrong goal? Right. You know, and I don't know, because I kind of want to hear your experience, and maybe that we should do this for another topic, another time. But like your experience on like, I know for example, it took you a while to finish college. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But there's a reason, right? It wasn't like that you were stupid or that you weren't smart enough, but there's other reasons that you probably didn't have control of. Yeah. You know, it wasn't like Chafee or whatever school you went to, Colony or whatever. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the teachers, I mean, overall, their goal shouldn't be to get somebody to go to college and do that. I think it should just be to educate, you know, for whatever purpose it is. You know, to get a job, to become president, or, you know, whatever, just educate, you know, educate your student, you know. Right. And, well, like for me, I mean, when I went, honestly, high school was it's like a blur to me. You know, right. I mean, I remember high school, but the classes itself and what I learned, it's very blurry. Right. The only thing that I remember the most is probably math. Right. Other than that, like, history was a blur, English is a blur. And then when I got to... because I took 2 years off, and then I got to community college, and then I started taking English and all those classes, and I was like, yeah, I kind of remember this but I started paying more attention. So I don't know if it was just me or the teachers, the professors, but I was more engaged, you know, and then I got to the point where I was like, damn, like I feel more educated now. At one point, you know, little by little, I started getting more educated. Right. Community college, I started liking being educated. Right. You know, being able to have conversations with people across the board about topics that I had no idea about, you know. So that motivated me because I was like, damn, this feels pretty good, you know. You can actually talk to anybody, you know, anybody about anything. Right. And then I didn't even know what I wanted to do, dude, like for a long time, you know. And like the teachers are there to teach you about what they know, you know, what they're specialized in the field. They're not there to, I feel like they shouldn't. Well, as specialized as they can. Yes, exactly. Because they're not really, like, think about, like, you're not, Like, for example, in history, you can't learn. Like, that's one thing that's really hard. Right? Because, like, you can't learn everything about history.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're basically teaching them minuscule stuff about your topic. Because even, like, sometimes within history, like, history teachers aren't into, like, the topic that they may be teaching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They specialize in a certain field. Like
American like they're in college.
Like 1940 to 1960
yeah,
history,
exactly.
things like that.
But, like, where you're, like, in college, like, the professor's teaching a specific class that they want to teach.
Yeah.
Because they're really into
freaking,
I don't know. We had like ancient civilizations from this period to this period.
Yeah.
It's like, why from this? I don't know. I just like to teach from this period to this period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But in those schools, like, there's stuff that they're kind of just teaching you, and they're not really. I wouldn't say, like, in the United States, like, I wouldn't say that all teachers are experts on their topics.
Right.
And I think that may be an issue. I have no idea, dude.
Yeah.
But that may be an issue, and that's kind of what I want the podcast to be about.
Right.
Where it's like, do you think what you're doing necessarily works and is successful? And what do you do? How do you do it?
Yeah.
And I think I just like it because it's conversations that I enjoy having.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoy having, because, like, I watch a lot of shows about coaching, and it's like, wow, you know, like, there was one on Netflix about, like, I don't know, Coach's Playbook or something like that.
Yeah.
And they had, like, all these different sports too. Like, like the tennis coach, dude, Serena Williams tennis coach, dude.
Yeah.
And, like, that fool was badass.
I know you hear about, like, in Rogan, he talks, like, to these MMA fighters or these wrestlers, and then they talk about their coaches, like, how they coach them, and it's like, every coach is different, you know? Yeah. But Rogan calls all of them, like, oh, that dude is badass. Like, he's one of the best. He's one of the best. But they're all, like, different methodology, different
and for some
techniques, everything.
And for some kids it works, and for some other kids it doesn't.
Exactly.
Even though you're a good coach, you know, you're going to have 2 or 3 players that are like, that coach was whack.
Exactly.
You know? And that's kind of, like, where I want to get to the, like, the conversation going about education. And I don't know, maybe we can do a podcast about that.
About education.
Not this specifically random podcast, but maybe we can have a separate one where you join me in the other podcast, I guess.
Oh, we don't.
You know what I mean? But no, so look, I'm gonna give you this memory card. You're in charge of.
All right. Yeah.
Putting
I told you I had one.
Putting it up wherever you want to put it up on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
I think we need to make, like, a little thing, so if you put it up on YouTube, it has, like, a little logo. I don't know how to do that shit, dude.
Yeah.
But we'll call it, like we said, specifically random podcast.
Yeah.
Specifically SRP.
Random podcast. Yeah, I think it was SRP.
SRP.
Yeah, because we were gonna say
TSRP.
Yeah, I think it's TSRP. Yeah.
TSRP.
Yeah.
Like some sort of logo.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have to ask somebody to do it. I have no idea to do it.
Yeah.
Or
I have some friends. I think you know them. Alex.
Yeah. Alex who?
Ochoa.
Oh, really?
Remember him?
I don't know. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that dude has a podcast too.
Does he really?
I think so. I'm not sure. I know he has, like, a full-on studio, and he does, like, photography and videos.
No, I know he does photography.
Yeah, and all that. So, yeah, I know he does that.
Yeah, I've seen some of his videos.
Yeah.
But just like
we should get him
logo.
here too.
Yeah.
You should get him on your education podcast.
Yeah, like how did he get to that?
Yeah. How did he learn? How does he teach himself? I don't know.
Right, all this stuff.
Yeah,
because like even like people who learn off of YouTube.
I don't think he went to school for that.
Yeah,
I don't think he went to school in general.
Yeah.
Well, besides high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but what I mean is like not a video, but rather like a logo. I don't know if he does logos though.
I mean, I can ask him.
Yeah, but you know when you put it up on YouTube, it's not gonna be like a black screen, bro.
Oh, we gotta make an investment podcast too, bro.
And then hell no. Nah, we're not that good. We're not that good. At all. Investors, no. All right, so what is our goal for the next time? Let's do 3 topics, dude.
3 topics. Let's do 2
and
topics.
You can cut this off.
What?
You can cut this off on the podcast so that we're already in it. So, well, we haven't ended it, so we have to end it now. So cut it off now.
So yeah.
All right, so that was
it for today.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back maybe next week. Hopefully.
No, not next week. We gotta do this, dude.
Yeah.
All right, next week.
Yeah.
All right, next week, everybody. All right, that's it.
All right, peace.
All right.